Good, happy Thursday evening, May 28, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Thursday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Thursday evening, so let's begin. First up, COVID-19 in New Hampshire, what you need to know information. Let's take a look at that right now. And here is a look at that COVID-19 in New Hampshire information, what you need to know. There are 4,286 number of people in New Hampshire have tested positive for COVID-19. 1,697,459 number of people in the United States who have tested positive. 223 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 426 number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. And 100,271 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. This map of New Hampshire shows you where current cases of COVID-19 are. Manchester, 414. And this map of New Hampshire shows you where total cases of COVID-19 are. Manchester, 1065. Now let's take a look at these three charts here. Let's start with the first chart. New cases each day in New Hampshire in the purple, daily new positive COVID-19 cases in the orange, new hospitalizations, and in the red are the deaths. Let's take a look at this chart here. Current cases in the purple, total current COVID-19 cases, and in the orange, current hospitalizations. And let's take a look at this chart here. Total cases in the purple, total positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, total hospitalizations. In the red, deaths. And in the blue, recovered. And let's take a look at this chart here. Age group of cases. Female and male of cases. Risk information. And now let's take a look at this chart here. Race/ethnicity of cases. Hospitalizations. Deaths. And percent of New Hampshire population. And your common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, chills, and difficult breathing. How it spreads. And prevention tips. And be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of your COVID-19 information. Live on News 9 at 5:30 p.m., Governor Chris Sununu answers questions about response to COVID-19. Sununu to answer questions submitted by viewers. That will be happening at 5:30 p.m. on WMUR News 9. 1,000 more Granite Staters file new unemployment claims. New claims drop for the 7th straight week. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
New Hampshire companies are stepping up and making a difference across the Granite State.
If you're looking for a more beautiful...
For the 7th straight week, new filings for unemployment in New Hampshire dropped from the week before. For the week ending May 23rd, about 7,000 people filed their initial claims for benefits, down about 1,800 from the week before.
We're down about over 80% from our peak week back at the beginning of April.
The Deputy Commissioner of Employment Security, Richard Lavers, says the gradual reopening of the state is also reflected in the numbers. There were about 5,500 fewer claims filed for weekly benefits than the week before.
So you start to see more folks returning to work in ambulatory care, hospitals, retail, restaurants.
Still, there are parts of the state that are in rougher shape, particularly up north. In April, the town of Conway had an unemployment rate of 31.7%, Colebrook at 24.8%, Berlin at 22.2%. Laver says the pandemic hit just as they were preparing to welcome in tourists.
You see that impact on those communities that are more dependent upon those travelers coming up to the northern part of the state.
This is the time when many college seniors were planning on starting their careers, or teens their summer jobs. Laver says benefits are available.
Those folks that were expecting to be starting a job and that job is no longer available because of COVID-19, they are eligible to file.
And while things may be tough now,
Well, I think the glimmer of hope is how strong the economy was just 2 short months ago.
Laver says one of the things they'll be keeping a close eye on is what sectors of the economy are adding jobs. In Manchester, Ray Brewer, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Ocean Boulevard closed to vehicle traffic along Hampton Beach until Labor Day. Traffic changes made ahead of State Seacoast Beach's reopening on Monday. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Planning to drive through Hampton. You need to know this. Traffic changes go in effect at 6 a.m. this morning. Ocean Boulevard will be closed to all traffic, and Ashworth Avenue will now be a two-way street instead of one-way. This comes ahead of the beach reopening on Monday. Shutting down Ocean Boulevard will give people visiting the beach more room to social distance. These changes will last through Labor Day, which is September 7th.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at your U.S. stock market and see how your U.S. stock market closed for this Thursday evening. And here's a look at that U.S. stock market for all of you for this Thursday evening. Your Dow Jones Industrial Average closed in the red and down. Your Nasdaq closed in the red and down. S&P 500 closed in the red and down. Gold closed in the green up. Oil closed in the green up. US 10-year closed flat. Euro/USD closed in the red and down. And VIX closed in the green and went up. Dow falls for the first time in 3 days. Drops 100 points on U.S.-China tensions. Stocks closed lower on Thursday, easing solid gains from earlier in the day, after President Donald Trump said he would be giving a news conference Friday regarding China. Brazil surpasses U.S. as new epicenter of COVID-19 cases. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Brazil emerging as the new epicenter of the pandemic. Cases there surging, and the daily death toll is now surpassing that of the U.S. Our senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell has the latest.
This morning, another huge leap in coronavirus deaths in Brazil, the country now the new epicenter of the pandemic. The death toll there now surpassing 25,000, with infections topping 400,000. Brazil now has the fastest growth rate in the world, with cases second only to the United States. Some hospitals report they're overflowing with patients, gravediggers barely able to keep pace with relentless rising cases. Meanwhile, here in Mexico, the numbers also soaring, with more than 8,000 now dead. with spikes on both sides of the US-Mexico border, concerns growing over large numbers of people still crossing.
As you can see, there are thousands and thousands of vehicles crossing over from Mexico into America, increasing the risk of spreading the virus.
Even so, Mexico plans to relax restrictions for business and tourism next week, with destinations like Cancun reopening to US tourists.
Well, despite the plans to reopen, there are real concerns, especially amongst medical professionals, that Mexico isn't ready to go back to work, and it certainly isn't ready to readmit US tourists to places like Cancun. Michael?
I want to thank you to Ian Panel for that. Hi, everyone.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And thank you for watching this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your evening. And I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. Good night and bye, everyone.